What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Hearts and Arts. Yes, that is right. I'm back with another guest, another fantastic guest who is a very good friend of mine over at UCR and a fellow member of Golden Mean Players. Allow me to reintroduce myself again. My name is Gerard Arrienda, and I am here with my good friend and fellow thespian and former football player turned artist. That's right. We'll get into that in later on in the episode. Ryan Ansara. Ryan, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good today, Already finished all my finals, so I'm having a blast.
Yes, the sweet satisfaction of finally finishing your final exams and getting a break. So, Ryan, I'm gonna pass the speaker stick to you. Please introduce yourself and your craft and your experience as well.
Gotcha. Hello, everybody. My name is Ryan Ansara. I'm a fourth year theater film digital production student. I'm going to be graduating just this upcoming June, actually. So now I have to actually do something with my life. But besides that, so for me, I got into acting not by my own choice. Actually, my when I was around 12, my mom put me into acting classes because she thought I would be an actor, and I didn't like it. So pretty quickly, I was like, all right, this isn't for me. I'm gonna move out of there. So I did a lot of other stuff. I was in band, as Gerard said, I played football. And then at one point, flashing forward to high school, my friend Madison wanted to audition for a play, but she didn't want to audition alone. And I was like, all right, well, I'll audition with you. That'd be silly. Why not? And she didn't get in, but I did. And now I kind of never stopped. And now I'm here.
Whoa, that is ironic. Okay, I just posted a solo episode not too long ago, and I was talking about these things being signs. We'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, Ryan is an actor, and I like to call him the funny guy himself, a comedy king. And yeah, you've done comedy work as well, stand up as well, Ryan, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, there we go. Yeah, exactly. So Ryan here, again, to repeat myself, is an actor and a comedy king, as I would put it. And he has had these experiences of being drawn into the world of theater, just like me. Uh, I wouldn't say it was an accident being drawn into theater. I'd say it was more of a sign, as in something like I don't know. We'll get later on into it. Exactly, Ryan. My reaction as well. But yeah, so I've got into this with all the artists that I've had on the show so far, and that is every artist starts with a spark. So Ryan, would you like give us an insight on how you were drawn into theater at 12 years old and how you sort of found that spark and how you continued to pursue it and how you made your triumphant return to thespianism?
I wouldn't say the spark came when I was 12. That because that's when my mom put me into it, and that's when I was like, all right, I'm not a big fan of this. I wasn't really much into performing at the time. Like I thought it was fun, but at that point I was like, this is not at all what I want to do. I wanted to more so focus on sports, and I liked history a lot. So my plan back then, ever planning ahead, I was like, I'm gonna do sports and I'm gonna do history. That's what I want to do. I don't need to be an actor. I don't want to be an actor. And then high school is definitely where I kind of got my first real taste of going, wait, I really enjoy this. This is something I would actually like to do. And I think that spark would have been probably right around when I did my first production there, which would have been Shakespeare's The Merry Wives of Windsor, but we changed it to be, I think it's Winslow, Arizona, we changed it to. So we were all dressed up like cowboys. We all this stuff. And it was just a really fun production, not particularly because the play was a bit funny when you actually knew the circumstances and understood the script. But the thing that was great about it was the cast was just full of people that were just so great to be around. And I was like, wow, these are the type of people that I want to be around all the time for the rest of my life. So I'd definitely say that was kind of the spark that made me go, these are the people I want to be around. This is why I want to keep doing this. It's for the people.
There we go. And I relate to that so much. Like I started theater at a very young age and I just thought, yeah, it's cool. I do it. It's fun. But it wasn't until high school, just like me, when I started taking it more serious, like more than just a hobby. And that's when I realized, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to pursue this. That's when I started taking it seriously. Ryan, I see a lot of parallels between you and me because I also wanted to study history. I wanted to be a history major before I got to college, but then that moment in high school when I was doing theater with really amazing people, this is what drew me into pursuing this later on in life. And yeah, also with that factor of us being former football players turned actors and stage performers, we had that experience of the transitioning from the sports world to the arts world. How did it feel for you, Ryan?
Um, it was pretty abrupt because the main thing that made me do that was getting hit by a car, and so that messed up my leg and maybe not really able to run very well. So for me, it was kind of like, well, I can't do sports anymore because I can't run anymore. Theater was fun. I'm just gonna go do that again. So that was mostly it.
Ouch. And okay, I can't relate to that because that seems a little too extreme. Oh my goodness. Getting hit by a car is your transition. It was your bridge from athletics to artistry?
Basically, yeah, because it at that point I'd already quit football because my high school's football team was like notably pretty terrible, and I frankly was not the best loser. I was a bit of a sore loser for a long time. I'm not gonna lose. I fucking hate losing. I hate losing.
Yeah,
So,
relatable. Yeah.
exactly. I was like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna do PE. And then I was in the midst of actually working on joining our high school's track team. Going into my junior year, I was about to join our track team. And then over the summer, I'd gotten just hit by a Prius, and I just flew over it, basically did a bit of a tumble and landed right on my knee.
Ooh.
So that really caused some issues in trying to be a runner. So I went, maybe I won't join track. Maybe instead I'll do some. I can't do track. I just frankly I can't. But I was like, at the same time, I didn't want to just sit around and do nothing all day. I wanted to find an extracurricular activity. So I wasn't that play. I could just keep auditioning because I liked it. I had fun. So that's exactly what I did.
Hmm. Yes. That it's a quite the transition, even when outside circumstances draw you to that direction. Yep,
Mm-hmm.
very, very weird indeed. Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely quit the football team because well, it just lost that feeling of satisfaction for me. Like I just didn't have that same interest in it when I was only a sophomore. By my senior year of high school, that's when I quit the football team, joined theater, and no shade on any of my former teammates if you're watching this, but best decision I ever made. Uh, a lot of people in the football team were a little, no, not little. I'm just gonna say it. They were extremely toxic to be around. So it was basically the toxicity that drew me towards the direction of theater, and I'm glad it did because, yeah, theater heals, theater inspires, theater strengthens. Have you heard those words before, Ryan?
I have not.
Theater heals, theater inspires, and theater strengthens. Those are very, very important words that I keep very near and dear. But yeah, so as you've mentioned, oh, another story that I relate to yours. I also started my high school theater career with a Shakespeare play, which was Midsummer Night's Dream.
Oh,
I'll save that as a wing fashion. As a matter of fact, that was the play that uh I suffered a concussion in. Again, that'll be a wing session for another day. But yeah, Ryan, would you like to run through your experience in that play and the lessons it taught you as well?
oh my goodness. Yeah, obviously. It's been a long time now. It's got to be my sophomore year of high school. My
Ooh.
goodness, I'm getting old. So the process was really just kind of fun. Obviously, it started off, we were just doing table readings. I was playing a character named Sir Hugh, who is typically portrayed as being um, a Welsh priest, but they decided let's make him German. So I had to do a really just god awful German accent that I can't even do anymore. Like it's far too high pitched for what I can like achieve nowadays. But the process was just great because almost everyone else in the cast was older than me. I was the youngest member of the cast, and all of them had known each other from previous productions, or they were just friends outside of class. So um, I felt a bit reserved at first, but they really just kind of like, no, 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 you're hanging out with us because you're one of us. So I'm really thankful for them for that, because they really definitely helped draw me into that. And I think that ended up just helping the play overall in terms of just the connection that I was able to form with them. And yeah, it's hard to remember the exact process of how everything went, but I ended up working with my high school teacher, and then two of his former students came out to help us, they both work professionally now in theater. So that was awesome just to get to talk to them and work with them. Memorization came pretty easy to me, for honestly, but I feel like that is one of my strong suits, is that I'm pretty good at memorization. So that's always been a strong suit of mine. Acting wise, because I have a film version of the play, rewatching, I go, oh wow, that's a choice. But it's honestly just kind of fun to see how far I went from that all the way up to my last production at high school, and even now where I'm at today with at UCR.
Yes, and you probably made a lot of great memories along the way from there to now. I mean, I've actually worked with you like in our Golden Mean Players gang, our club over at UCR, and I've seen you perform as well. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to get to those. But speaking of performances, you performed in this Shakespeare play. Oh my gosh, I already forgot. Can you repeat the name of that Shakespeare play again?
The Woman of Windsor.
The Woman of Windsor. Yes, a comedy. Man, I love comedies. It's I can definitely relate to the memorization part where memorizing comes easy to me as well. I mean, I do it whenever I study for tests. Like it's just basically memorizing a script. And you said you guys said it in an old Western setting instead of
Yes, we
the
were.
instead of the traditional Renaissance / medieval setting.
Exactly. Yeah, we were cowboys, and all the men had pistols.
Hmm. So that's a huge adjustment to the world of Shakespeare. I've never heard of a Shakespeare play being set in an old Western setting. I mean, probably a dystopian setting. I mean, I have seen Romeo plus Juliet with Leonardo
Oh yeah,
DiCaprio.
Romeo. It's one of the greatest bad films I've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about that. I don't know. I just felt like it diminished that whole Shakespearean theme because yeah, I don't know what is it about that film, but yeah, it is what it is, I would say. Um did you have an easier time memorizing the script? Because Shakespeare is a little hard, like in my opinion, because there's a certain rhythm, like iambic pentameter. There we go.
Not particularly, no. Classical scripts like that kind of follow a more classical language, I don't find particularly difficult, honestly. I think it's just one, my familiarity with the time period itself helps out, since again, I do like history a lot. So I'll do a lot of studying about the time period itself. So the language I kind of look at and I go, well, this makes sense to me. It's said a bit weird, but at the bottom line, if I can read it, I can tend to discern what it means. And then it's just essentially a roundabout way of saying what my character means, which there's lots of characters that do that on throughout any play script. There's a lot of times where characters will be saying one thing while meaning another, and the character is still trying to get their meaning across despite not saying it, you know? So
Yep.
it's effectively almost the same thing with a Shakespeare play, where a modern audience isn't going to hear what they say and go, oh, I immediately understand what that means, or 8 out of 10 of them won't, at least. But yeah, you're saying what you mean. The audience might not understand it, but you need to give it the meaning that it needs. So just the script itself fairly easy. It's trying to make sure the audience can understand the script that gets hard.
That's what I'm talking about. Because you've probably done the script analysis, you've dissected the play element by element, but unfortunately, you can't say the same for whoever's watching you, like the audience. So you know what's going on stage because again, you studied the play all throughout your rehearsal time, but the audience, they were not there to witness the dissection. So sometimes they watch a play, particularly Shakespeare, and they go, I wonder what's going on here. Oh, maybe that's happening, but nope, it's another direction. So yeah, there's a bit of misinterpretation on the audience's part, but understandably so, because again, Shakespeare is pretty hard. Uh I love Shakespeare. There are just times where I don't really uh have the easiest time understanding, but as long as I dissect the play, that's when it starts to help a lot more. So yeah. And that also helps with the body movements and the commedia style performance, which you just got out of. You're fresh out of a play called The Widow of Valencia, which you performed with Lesley, who I just had on the show. How was that like? Because that looked pretty funny from how when I saw you guys.
That show was an absolute blast to be in. I could not think of a show that to me had as many people in it that I cannot wait to work with again. I absolutely loved working with Kobe. He is such a talent. He had written so much of the music for that show. The song that me and the other suitors sang, he had written the guitar for it. The lyrics were already written, but he wrote the guitar accompaniment. And then Pierre is just a talent. I adore Pierre. He and I want to work together for a long time coming. But overall, the process for Widow just felt so smooth. And our director, Melanie, was incredibly collaborative. She was always willing to hear what we had to say about it. If we had an idea for a character, she encouraged us to kind of go ahead and go, no, yeah, let's try that out. Let's give that a listen. Let's see how that works here. And if it didn't work, she would go, does not work. But if she liked it, then she let us keep it and she let us have it be a part of the script. Like the sequence when the suitors enter the widow's house and are dressed up as like the bookseller, the print seller. My character wasn't supposed to be in that at all, but he's referenced. So I just joked with Melanie, went, hey, what? And this is the part where my character, Lisandro, comes in and goes, Guten Tag. And she went, that's funny. Let's try that. And then we did it. Melanie liked it and we kept it. And then the audience every night laughed a lot whenever I would pop out my little head from the door and go, Guten Tag. So that whole process was just absolutely a blast. And I am very thankful for it and for all of the people involved. The set, absolutely phenomenal. That thing was one of the most lovely sets I've ever gotten to work on. And it was so much fun to explore that and just bring it to life.
Yes, the set. Oh my goodness, that set was fire. I'm not gonna lie. Like the minute I just walked in there, I just instantly got pulled into the show, and I'm like, okay, why is UCR doing all these interesting and cool stuff now that I've graduated? It's just that set and the overall performance by everyone. It was just comedic and it was romantic and it was just all overall amazing. I still couldn't get over it. I loved it that much. As a matter of fact, that one moment where, as you mentioned, you popped in, said that one line, and I remembered I was watching the play with Dylan and Ty and Hayden. When you did that, we just lost it. Like I just rambled all over my seat because that one moment got me so much. I loved it like a lot. And you said that wasn't planned, but your director loved it and she decided to have you keep it in the show.
Yeah, we added that shortly before, I think, tech rehearsals, like while we were still running through stuff.
You see, the creativity, it makes you do like these amazing things without knowing it. See, this is what theater is about, exploring your creativity and your abilities. And has there ever been a moment like just like this, for example, where you've gone, whoa, I didn't know I can do that on stage. I love that.
Definitely when I had to sing, because And what
Oh
else?
my
Well,
goodness.
I've never actually sung in a play. I've never even auditioned for. I've auditioned for one musical total, and
Hmm.
did not get in. But yeah, so actually having singing and having people tell me you're actually pretty good at singing. Even my parents, when I went and had a dinner with them, not telling them like, "Oh, Ryan, we didn't know you could sing," and I was like, neither did I, because I think up to that point, the largest amount of people I had ever sung in front of was a group of maybe about 6 people.
Hmm.
And that was
Well,
for the audition for Little Shop of Horrors. So yeah, singing is definitely something I've just never really done, and it's something I was always scared to do in front of people. So just kind of singing and having fun doing it was a genuine shock to me. Like singing and having fun doing it in front of 100+ people for
you
my
actually,
widow.
yeah, you actually do have this operatic voice. I'm not gonna lie. Like that was the kind of vibe I got when I was listening to you sing, and I was like, wow, this guy actually does sound pretty good. And what made it unique, or at least unique to me, was I've never like worked with anybody or seen anybody in all my years of doing theater who brought this operatic vibe to their singing. Like whether I'm watching the show as an audience member or I'm actually performing alongside them. I've done a couple musicals, but I've never had that operatic vibe be brought to me from whoever it is that I knew performing in that show. And you're the first one, so you hold that title in my book, Ryan.
Quite grand sounding. Thank you.
Yep. Just trying to clap the round of applause to the microphone right here. But yeah, going back to Shakespeare. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I skipped over this by accident. Ryan, you have another experience with another Shakespeare play over at UCR. This one is
Mm.
another memory of yours. I wasn't there because I was at a community college at the time, but you performed in Henry the
Henry
Eighth.
the Fifth.
Henry the Fifth. I don't know why I thought Henry the Eighth. That's another king, Henry the Fifth. But
Yes.
would you like to run over your experience with Henry V, considering that was one of your, if not your first college production? Please feel
Uh,
free to correct me on that.
yeah, it was my first college production.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
And it was a really good friend of mine at the time was also in it. Jacob Estrada, very talented fellow. He's does a lot of work with our shorts now, as well as his band Lawn Darts. Like very talented. Not doesn't do too much acting anymore, but I was very thankful to have him in that production because everyone else was like a third year or fourth year, and that was honestly kind of a bit scary, obviously, because I was a little first year going, oh well, these people they're all so much older than me. They have so much more life experience, and I could see them acting and I went, oh, they're all so much more talented than me. But they never were like rude, which is awesome because that's what I kind of anticipated going up to that level. I was like, oh, these people are going to be like far more professional and about themselves. But no, they were always also like, oh, this. They were very, I would almost say keen. It seemed to talk to me, and they were just very kind and would listen to me and would just talk to me about stuff about the show, which I greatly appreciated because there I would say the directing of that show at times was a bit questionable, like the fact that my character was dead in the second half of the show, but I was called to every rehearsal. So there would be times where they were running the second half of the show and I would still get called to show up. So I would sit there for 4 hours and do nothing to the point where I would just go, hey, can I sit in the lobby and do my homework instead? And they went, oh, yeah, go for it, go for it. So I would just sit there. And then sometimes the other cast members would walk and go, Ryan, what are you still doing here? Like, I'm called. I can't go home. They haven't dismissed me yet. So they would just sit there and chat with me a bit, which was pleasant. But yeah, working with all of them was just a blast. And then very, very tough quarter though for me because I commuted at that point and I had about a 40-minute commute from my
Ooh.
hometown out to Riverside. And I would get to campus usually around 9 a.m., 9 a.m., 9:30 a.m. because I had early lectures. And I wouldn't go home even if I had like a 6-hour gap just because I thought it was a waste of gas, frankly. So I would be at UCR away from home for 13 hours a day, basically every day. So that was a bit tough to kind of have to do, but it was fine.
Yeah. I mean, like the hardest part about having a gap between your classes, especially a long gap, is that is you have to find something to entertain yourself with, like especially if you're done with whatever homework you're doing or if you're done
Mm-hmm.
studying for an upcoming test. And like what you said, you can't go home because it just seems pointless to just drive to and from campus and just spend like maybe a few hours at home and use up the gas. I mean, I've had that struggle during my time
Exactly.
at RCC. I've had that struggle. It's gets pretty boring, lonely at times too. But at least you had something to look forward to, which was rehearsals. I mean, theater
Mm-hmm.
is always fun. You had that to look forward to, and I'm pretty sure it made time go a little faster because when you're excited for rehearsals, the day kind of runs a little fast, or at least for me
I
it
would say
does.
there's probably a 50% chance I was excited for rehearsals, and a 50% chance I was like, oh, they're running the second half. I'm dead. I'm not actually going to do anything today. I'm going to probably sit in the lobby and hopefully do my homework.
They need a dead body to rehearse with. That's got
I
to mean
was,
something.
they didn't even let me be a dead body on stage.
What?
I would literally, when I say I would come to rehearsal and do nothing, I mean, I would come in signing because I was called to rehearsal. And then I would sit in the audience seats, watch them run like maybe a scene once or twice. And then I'd go, cool. And then I'd walk to the lobby and I'd sit in the lobby for another 3 straight hours.
Oh
Because
my
again,
goodness.
I wasn't in any of those scenes. And it wasn't even like they had a dead body in those scenes. I honestly don't know why the director called me to every rehearsal. It was baffling. I was like, I even brought it up to like the production manager and stuff. I'm like, hey, I'm dead in the second half, but I'm called to every rehearsal. Do you know why? Like, is there any time that you think I might be permitted to go home on rehearsals that I'm not going to be used? And it never got changed. So
Hmm.
I was always there.
That's odd. You got called to rehearsals and they didn't even use you?
Yeah.
Jeez. And you just chilled in the lobby the whole time. That is very bizarre.
Yeah.
That
I couldn't go home. So I'll just do my homework in the lobby.
hmm. Oh, well, at least when the performances came, you I'm sure you enjoyed the performing
Oh, yeah,
aspect.
definitely. I had a lot of fun performing that show. Uh,
Yes.
Honestly, just because at that point the cast and we'd all become friends. So it was fun to finally get to kind of perform with them and for me to finally go, yes, look at all the work I did having to sit here every day for 4 hours, even when I didn't even do anything for those 4 hours. And then one of my best friends came to see the show. He was my only friend that had seen it. And he fell asleep during it.
Oh, darn. All that
He
all of
fell
that
asleep
came to
during it.
this.
And my parents afterward, love them to death. My parents hit me with the, hey, Ryan, next time your character is like just not in the second half, can we go home during intermission? And I was like, yeah, yeah, go for it, guys.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
so I did not get the best reviews from family and friends in that show, but
Well, you got killed in the second half, so
I did. I did.
yeah. And also, you got to perform with our second guest on who I had on HIA, the amazing Maya Maddox.
Yes, I did perform with Maya. That's where I first got to know Maya, actually. And
Hmm.
Myra, ironically.
Oh yeah, she was serving with the production crew, I assume.
Yeah, she was on production crew. The super fun part of this, actually, and I love the production crew on that show. They were some of the people I got super close with at one point because, again, I was dead in the second half. And because it's a Shakespeare play, a lot of the scenes go on really long. There were gaps in between when I would be on stage. So I would just sit with them in a circle backstage, and we were playing Uno on our phones together.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I had a really good time with them when I was dead.
You see, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I love about theater. You meet really amazing people who don't have like this egotistical personality. And again, I bring this up so many times on the show, and that is, as artists, we build each other up, and you can actually feel the difference compared to your time in football. Because I don't know if your football team did this, but we had like that huge ego personality between players. It's like one player saying, "Oh, I'm better than this guy," or "No, I'm better than him," and it's just one huge competition, and it just adds up to the toxicity. But in the theater, however, that doesn't exist. It's us building each other up as artists.
Yeah, I can't say I had that with on any of the football teams I played with, but definitely I think I've noticed in theater that there's a lot of like support for each other and building each other up and trying to be there for each other whenever possible. And the people that do kind of have an ego in here in theater are the people that everyone kind of goes, oh, we don't really like that one very much. They're a bit of that type of person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, every once in a while there's going to be that, but
Exactly.
yeah.
And it's unfortunate, but that's just life.
But at the end of the day, we sort of like hold hands whether we like each other or not, and then we walk into the sunset like some kind of happy-go-lucky movie. But
And
yeah, it is.
It's just part of the job, honestly. It's like, yeah, you might not like someone, but if you're going to play with them, when it comes time to perform, you're going to set that aside. You're going to perform, and you're going to do well because you're not trying to impress them. You're not doing it for them. You're doing it for yourself. You're doing it for everyone in the audience, you know?
Yeah, the show must go on one way or another.
Exactly.
Yeah. Shifting on to another subject, but still on the topic of artists building each other up, I've noticed that kind of interaction, that kind of relationship with Golden Mean players over at UCR, which is a club, I wouldn't say founded, but revived by our good friend Myra. And of course, Ryan and I were proud members, and we still are proud members of GMP. And the first time I personally got to watch Ryan grace the stage was in a production by GMP called The Experiment of Theater, and it was a collection of plays, which one of them was performed by Ryan, and that was Body Bags, written by, according to this program that I have right here, is written by our friend who I had in the 4th episode, I believe, Alvin Peralta, and directed by Kobe Darby, who I've had the pleasure of watching perform alongside Ryan in Widow of Valencia. And of course, I also got to watch Kobe perform in Frankenstein as well. So, Ryan, would you like to run through your experience with Body Bags and the relationships you built with GMP and of course the freshmen, especially Alvin, who wrote the play?
Yeah, I'll start this off with I think GMP I'll start off. So my introduction to GMP, I was not a member properly until my second quarter of last year of my third year, yeah. And I didn't really know anything about them other than they existed. And then I watched their Night of Alice Gerstenberg plays, which I thought was fun. And I went, you know what? Maybe I'll audition for this if I don't get into the main UCR theater department's production. And that's exactly what happened. So going to the second quarter, they did Men on Boats, and I went, oh yeah, I'm not getting into Men on Boats. So I instead was like, I'll audition for GMP, and I did, and it was really exciting because they were doing a bunch of student written plays in their experiment of theater, and I ended up getting casted by Kobe for Body Bags, which was a ton of fun. And I started attending meetings regularly, got to meet everybody, and it was just a blast. Everyone there was just very upbeat, very positive, very supportive. Everyone loved to hear how everyone's week was doing, if they were involved in any projects, what they were up to, basically. And I think that's what really kind of made me enjoy GMP. Just they were willing to have everybody come in with open arms. And then as for Body Bags, that was quite a fun show, actually. Of course, it was a bit more dark humor, obviously. I had to play a murder victim, reliving my death. So that was interesting. Clearly, I don't have any experience with that. I can't say I've done that before. But no, the play was very well written, in my opinion. It was just very fun. It was very fast paced. It was just each fun little moment bounced from one to the next to the next. And I'm very thankful to Kobe for deciding that to cast me in that role, because that was playing Luce was one of the most fun times I've had. And obviously, we didn't have as much rehearsal time as the department does, or the budget that the department did. So we would have, like, I believe, one rehearsal in the studio theater each week. And then otherwise, us cast members, we would just get together on some of our off days to go rehearse together in the library. We would just run through it together on our own, just because we were like, we really want to make this right. We really want to get this right. We want to get this done as good as we can. So I really appreciate the other actors in that for doing that. And I really think it did come out as Body Bags was just what it was. It came out really well, I feel. I know a lot of people told me, a lot of my friends were like, oh yeah, you were good in that when you popped out of the body bag. So I really appreciate that, the whole production.
That I actually laughed a little bit at that part where you just made it all dramatic too, like the way you just did that, and you did that long inhale exhale thing when you popped out of the body bag. I'm like, well, I've never seen that before. A guy playing a dead body and being you're basically playing a ghost of yourself. So yeah, it was very entertaining. And yeah. Also, if I can recall, you called me out from the audience. Was that part of the script? Or
there were moments I talked to the script. Yeah, I'm not sure if I remember entirely exactly which moment you're talking about, though.
Oh no, I really love this. Like how you were closing up, you were saying your closing lines and closing up the body bags, and the play, not the actual item, the play body bags. You were
No, I
saying
know.
your closing monologue, and you spotted me from the audience, and you were like, "Hey, you look familiar." That memory still holds near and dear to me. One of my favorite moments in the Black Box
Yes.
Theater.
That is one of the lines. And the nights, whenever we would perform it, I would always go like, who's someone I recognize so I can say that too. So you were the first one that I had seen that I recognized then.
If I'm being honest, I was actually pretty honored. I've never been called out of an audience before in an interaction part of a play. So yeah, I'm really honored that you you chose me out of everybody there. And I'm pretty sure I wasn't hard to spot because I was sitting in a section of the theater where not many people sit, mainly because someone already took my spot. That one seat in Black Box Studio 411. That's my seat, and someone beat me to it.
Well, it
But
didn't
yeah,
help that the sold out.
yeah, sold out performances.
No, but yeah, no, it was just a lot of fun though. And obviously, anytime I talk to the audience, especially if it seems like I'm referencing like saying something to someone I know, I will always try to find out where people I know are, so I can say that to them. One of those things you kind of got to know how to do while you're on stage doing your other scenes. You know, you can't just be like searching the audience in the moment for the line. You gotta be passively searching for them as you're running other scenes. So when you get to talk to the audience, you have your moment and you can look right at your like friend and go, hey, listen up, idiot. I'm talking to you now.
I did that same thing when I performed in Midsummer. I was just like drawing from Cats the Musical and did like the point, like yeah. And from where I was sitting and watching you perform in Body Bags, it seemed like you were having a lot of fun and building like these strong stage relationships with your co-stars as well. Two of them I know, and they're also very very amazing people as well, Karen and Xavier. And you guys really played those relationships so well. It was amazing too. Again, artists build each other up and they build these relationships. What was it like working with your co-stars?
It felt we had a very like friendly like kind of repertoire between us pretty early on, I think, because all of us were the same year essentially. Same year. I forget Xavier was a year ahead of us. I think he was. But nevertheless, we're all very similar in age. We all have very similar kind of just experiences. Obviously, in the past, we had all just gone through the pandemic. So we're like, oh, how was that for all of y'all? Good to be back in person, am I right? So very quickly, we kind of got off onto the right foot. We got very quickly just hanging out outside of rehearsal. We'd go get coffees together, the four of us, So building up that relationship was just really easy, honestly. It just became very much so like, oh, we're just friends, hanging out, having a blast.
And friends who share that same passion for the arts. Let's not forget that part.
Exactly. Precisely.
Yep. And again, staying on the subject of GMP, you said it was your first introduction to them for that year. It was my senior year, and it was your junior year at that time, which was very recent. And you had that same feeling I did when I walked into my high school theater classroom, where it's like, oh, I can get used to this. I'm making myself feel at home. And I felt that exact same feeling too when I walked into GMP. What was like your biggest impression of having this relationship with GMP, whether if it's like the home and the family one, or the artists supporting and working each other?
Um, it was definitely, I just like, oh, this is a good place to be for if you're in the arts. It was, yeah, just artists supporting artists, which I enjoyed.
Yep, coming together, sharing that same passion, great feeling. And shifting to another club that you are involved in, and this club was established by another GMP member, our friend Saya, who is the founder and president of the Comedy Closet, which I'm pretty sure you've been having fun as well.
Indeed.
Yeah, I unfortunately have not been able to attend Comedy Closet get-togethers because of my rehearsal schedule and the work schedule, which was just pretty crazy. I would have loved to go in there, but judging from the pictures that I've been seeing on Instagram, you guys are having a lot of fun with the improv comedy and the stand-up get-togethers. How are those going, and how are things like for you there at the Comedy Closet?
Um, Last things have always actually done fairly well for us in the Comedy Closet. Our open mic nights have always done shockingly well. Like we're always above expectations, I feel, whenever we go out there in terms of the amount of people that come out to see it and in terms of the amount of people that come out to perform. So that's really great. And there's not really ever been a time that I'm like, I sit there at the open mics and go, well, I expect there to be 60 people because that's what we had last week. It's always, I'm like, oh, maybe we'll go 20 to 30 maybe, and then we got hit 50, and then I'm like, this is incredible. So that's always such a good feeling to me, of always having my expectations blown out of the water at our open mic nights. And then for our improv stuff, that's a lot of what we just do at our meetings. We just have fun. We'll play like improv games, kind of just do very brief little commentary on, hey, this is what professional comedians have to say about like how to set up like what's a good basic set, like what's a good basic comedy set that you should try to achieve. We like to hear each other out, give feedback to each other. So if someone goes, hey, I really have this joke I like, that like this whole set I'm planning for stand-up comedy, but I want to try it out. Can I try it out on you guys? Obviously, there's an entire part of the club where we go, yes, run through your set if you want, and then we'll give you feedback. We'll say, hey, these are the points where it kind of drags, or this part didn't really land with me, maybe touch it up here. And we'll sometimes, if they want, if they specifically ask, oh yeah, do you guys have any recommendations for what I might be able to do, then we'll offer it. That's I think one of the great things, that's one of the key things I think. We don't like to tell people how to do comedy because you really can't. It's tough to do, honestly. Like each person has their own kind of comedic timing, and everyone has a comedic sense about themselves. So if you're trying to tell someone how to be funny, I would say 9 out of 10 times that's not going to work. But if they want advice on how to like kind of spruce up their comedy set, then definitely I think anyone can kind of offer a bit of insight to that, to go, hey, you're really good at this, so why don't you try doing this as part of your set? Or why you're saying a certain thing there that doesn't really land, maybe swap it up to something more in line with your personality. And that's a lot of what we do at our meetings. And then improv games, absolute blast.
Exactly. How I love how one of the things, well, probably the biggest thing that I love about comedy is that there's a diverse style of doing it, and when people who do comedy together get together, they collaborate, and they unite their styles together to make one unique performance, all divided into each of their own unique styles. Like it's like watching Robin Williams and Jerry Seinfeld come together and put up one of these really cool comedy shows. I don't know if that ever happened, but I like to imagine that happening. It would be a very unique show when you have two comedians who do two different unique styles of comedy come together, and they have these, again, the diversity of comedy coming together and making one amazing, unique performance. And I love how that's going on in like the comedy closet and all the fun that's been going on. And of course, don't forget the memories being made artist to artist. Again, artists support artists. We build each other up, and we create that sense of strong relationships doing it as well. Alrighty, so Ryan here just gave his experiences and his stories and his passions, and overall he has a really great caliber when it comes to performing and acting and doing theater and all, and it's just really amazing. So with that, Ryan, is there any advice from your experience that you would like to share to our audiences, especially to the kids who are aspiring artists themselves and they want to go down this path?
Oh yeah, yes, there's a few things I could say. First and foremost, it's just going to be, if this is something that you enjoy, even if it's something I just like doing on the side, then just keep doing it. There's no point in stopping. Even if you're not getting a lot of roles, getting casted and stuff, one of the great things about the modern day is that you could always just film something on your phone and throw it on YouTube if you want. You could do that. You could form your own little play readings and stuff if you have your own little theater group. You can do so much nowadays, and there will always be people out there that will come out and try to support you. So at the bottom line, just keep auditioning, keep working, keep pushing for this if this is what you want. Whether or not it's working on your own, working with other people, starting your own little collaborative groups, always keep working towards that, whatever your goal is. And then otherwise, something that you should always do in theater is be willing to listen to other people and be willing to learn. You never make the assumption that you know more than someone else or that you are better than someone else just based off of your experience. Just because you worked as a stage manager in your 4 years of high school, or were the leading actor in every one of the plays you auditioned for in high school, does not mean you have more experience than more applicable experience or knowledge than anyone else you will meet out there. Someone else still could be far more learned than you. Or even if they've not started that job yet, just because you worked as a stage manager, just because you've been a leading actor and someone might not have, doesn't mean they can't be just as, if not more competent than you. So be willing to learn, be willing to help others, and be patient with people. Bottom line, be patient with people, be willing to help them, and be willing to get help and to listen to people and learn from your mistakes.
Beautiful, beautifully worded. You see, this is what I like to talk about so many times, like finding your spark and using your spark, or letting your spark find you. And if you like doing this, whether if it's theater or a sport, do it. Do what makes your heart happy, as long as it's not hurting you or anybody else. Dance to the beat of your own drum and light your soul on fire with that passion. Alrighty. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to all of that. And I hope you can relate to our stories and take those lessons to your heart as well. And thank you, Ryan, for being a guest on this show. It was so amazing to have you. And I've been wanting to have you on the show for a very long time, Ryan, because again, I know you have this really great caliber of performance, because I've seen you perform before on the stage, and you have this amazing talent. And I can't wait to have you back on the show again, as well as my other guests. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, once again, let your spark find you, follow your passion. So again, thank you. Peace and love.
And have fun.
Good night. Thank you, Ryan. And thank you, everybody else. Have a good day, everyone.